All right, guys, the second house. The second house. All right, everything about the second house. Make sure I keep my chat box open. All right. So all right, same format as the first house, guys. All right. Hold on, just one second, guys. All right, guys. So yes, everything about the second house, we're gonna use the same format that we use for the first house. All right. So traits of the house, what sign is birthed in the house, and the relationship between the sign and the house, the elements through the house, planetary influences through the house. That would be the planet that you have ruling the house or the planet in the house. All right. Rulers of this house through the houses. Okay, which ties into how to hack this house. Lord have mercy, guys. Hold on one second. Everybody want to ring my line. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that. All right. So, yeah, rulers, rulers of the second house. All right. Nisi, I see you, Nisi in the building. So, rulers of the second house, and that's gonna show us how to expand the house. That's gonna show us why every time it comes into second house themes and influences in our life, we always have a certain calling to do something in our second house, right? So the rulers, I know I'm a big ruler guy. All the astrologers got things they big on, aspects, money. I'm just big on rulers. All right. Jensky in the building. Okay. So once again, happy new moon, everybody. So uh yes, so we're gonna get into the rulers of the second house. All right. And that has a lot to do with how we expand that there. And then the relationship this house has with other houses. All right. And when I go over this segment, guys, that last part, when we look at how the second house has a relationship, what its relationship with to the eighth house and other houses or whatever was the neighbor house, trine house. When we go over this part, guys, this part actually highlights it's almost portion teaching how to read aspects to a degree. All right. Because if we're going over the relationship the second house has with the 10th house, but you have planets in the 10th house. Now, this lets you know if you have planets in both of these houses, this is the relationship they'll have. All right. Guys, this is the house series. So we're also understanding that before it comes into aspects, before it comes into we see planetary aspects, this is the natural relationship these spaces have. We just did the first house. What sign comes out the first house? Aries, right? So we know that if the opposite house is the seventh house, and if we know Libra come out the seventh house, then we know how these traits affect the relationship of the signs. All right. And now it could also give you an aspect of how to look at aspects, right? So you got a planet in your first house or your seventh house. You already know the relationship of the first and seventh house. You already know the relationship of Aries and Libra. So that helps you to start interpreting how these planets will interact there. All right. So that's just that. Let's get right into it, guys. The second house. What is the second house, guys? Guys, the second house is a fixed earth house. One thing I emphasized in the previous stream is that we can never neglect the modality and the element of the house. Yes, we want to know what area it represents, what traits are to it, what themes we experience, and what themes make up that house. But the modality and the element is important. So this is an earth house. All earth houses deal with how we gain stability and security in this realm, in this reality. All earth houses deal with building things over time. So they're going to correlate to things dealing with career. They're going to correlate to things dealing with project building in general. They're going to correlate to certain influences you experience in the career space, but specifically the second house This is the I have house. Some main theme I have or I value. All right. I have or I value. You know, the first house is the I am. So in the first house, we know we just have consciousness. We're aware that we're here. We're aware that we're alive, right? The second house is more so dealing with now, what do I have? Okay. What do I have? So this is why this house is correlated to talents, guys. This is why this house is correlated to creative attributes. All right, because we're already dealing with, you know, someone's value, someone's value. I just made a video on YouTube breaking down why Taurus has a lot of earning potential and is in correlation to the theme of the second house and value. The more we can give our value away, and that was basically the main theme of the video, the main message, giving our value not to be kept to ourselves. We're supposed to give that away. All right, this is why Taurus is such a giving sign, but when we're looking at the second house, yes, all of that, a lot of that is in here. Okay, now when it comes into value from an external point of view, we're looking at what type of nature you may develop as far as the people, places, and things you value outside yourself. The second house is going to have everything to do with the early seeds we plant for values, the approach and that things we experience when we're trying to plant and cement something with our value. So yes, this correlates to career, but at some point in our life, we realize we value the standard third, so we're going to pursue this in career. At some point in our lives, we realize we value the concept of something, so I'd rather invest into this to see if it could lead into potential for stability and security. So the second house stems with that type of energy. Everything dealing with finances in this house is not just making money. It's not just about making money here. It's about your spending habits. The second house rules materialism. All right. Najee, I see you. Okay, just entered the building. So this house is dealing with materialism, how we experience the material realm. Okay, this house is dealing with resources. So if we got the themes of value in here with that, the more we can walk the path of connecting to our value, trying to understand our value, relate and connect our value, whatever that may be, right? Talent, creative attribute, something that could help others, something that could be of use, something that other people could find of value that you may just be more inclined to be a teacher of, to be a leader of, to be an example of. This is always going to lead into how we manifest opportunities for stability and security. Okay. So it's important to understand, just everything we're going to be breaking down. If I mention something dealing with, having this influence in the second house, you can have a lot of insecurities around your values. Then now you got to really look at things dealing with what you believe you value and ask yourself, like, do I have insecurity energy built around this value, this and the third? Does that hold me back from expanding or connecting my value out into the world, experimenting with it, seeing how this, that, and the third? Is this why I've always attracted people projecting on my talents? That's why I have insecurity. That's where that comes from. So all these themes are going to correlate to how we even process our value a lot of the time. All right. Now, the second house also, because it deals with value, one thing that's not mentioned a lot about this house, but this house has a lot to do with family environment as well. A lot of our values are in our early experience is cultivated through the home environment. So the influence of values and tradition and culture of the mother and father and the home environment are heavy in your second house. So if you have a huge influence of spirituality or something in your second house, then that more so correlates to maybe why that type of influence was already around you for you to develop those values. All right. But you may have a planet in there, you may have an alignment in there that is pushing you to evolve past that value that value system you came into. You may be dealing with some karma, learning how to challenge yourself to find your own belief system. So that's just getting into that. All right. Now, so yes, and then it's fixed. Then that's the thing, guys. The pace of this house is important to understand. You have to understand the pace of this house. All right. We just came out of a fire house. The first house, everything with fire is futuristic. All right. It's very intuitive, could be fast paced. Now we're dealing with the second house. When we find our value, family, this is not something that creates opportunities overnight. The process of cultivating our value, understanding how to give it away, how to connect it, how to craft it some more. All right. Our craft in general, what type of craft someone's into could have a lot to do with the second house. I also like to correlate to that to the fifth house as well. But the second house is huge with that. So if I see somebody as a musician, if I see somebody is really into things dealing with spirituality in general, right? You know, I'm an astrologer. You could look at my second house and be like, okay, I can see why, you know, some of his values correlate with what he does. All right. Somebody is a teacher, if somebody is an athlete, if somebody, you could kind of start to depict the origins of this through somebody's second house. All right. So anything you could see somebody blossom into a career where we all could see it, that's the 10th house. That's the result of you being active into something that you value. Right now, we're strictly second house, so we're dealing with that origin of how we go about planting the seed in that value and all the things around foundational building of that value. All right. Um, yes, second house traits, materialism, identifying our value system in general here. Now, when I talk about our value system as well, not just our talents, our creative attributes, and the people, places, and things we value, this is also a house where we're understanding how what we value manipulates the physical realm, right? So if you value these type of people, you value these type of philosophies of life, these different type of concepts, you have this form of self-value and how that plays out into what we experience in reality, and also the different type of resources we can manifest here. Okay. So that's what we got going on with the traits, major themes. Let me just, y'all know I got to pull out the holy index real quick. Just now, guys, I just did I know I had a little hiatus, but you know, about a month and a half ago, I did a breakdown on the second house. What was it? Was it planets in the second house? It was a second house video correlating to how to use the second house dealing with stability. All right. I believe it was a planet, yeah, planets in the second house and showing what things are naturally in favor for you. And when it comes into this process of, you know, pouring into your value system. So maybe after this, you guys could probably rewatch that or go watch it and see, you know, how you could put things together here, because that was more in depth as far as me really going through listing a lot of different themes. All right. And that's why when it comes into anything dealing with making money and career, I'm obviously going to think of certain examples of labels of certain careers and jobs, but I like to stick to the energy and the theme of it, because we cannot predict everything, and sometimes it's hard to see an opportunity that can blossom out of something that we're inclined with, right? I could tell you you're good at this, that, and the third. You need to follow this energy, but years down, you may have something extravagant going on based off of you doing that. And I didn't know you was gonna be on TV. I didn't see that part in your chart, but you followed a certain energy and look what is manifesting in your life. So second house, second house, second house, second house, second house. All right. Let's see real quick. So first thing, ancestors. So I already said family. I already said family, culture, lineage is deep here. So let's say somebody starts to have a lot of influence dealing with channeling energy here. You may have a tool that helps become a pipeline through other parts of your family lineage. So this would be planets like Pluto would be a good one here. Pluto in the second house. This would be Mercury's in the second house. This could be Aquarius's in the second house. This could be Scorpio in the second house. Because these are all themes, planets, and signs that deal with good channeling energy. So that would just increase more potential. So if you ever, don't be surprised you see a medium or somebody that's just so intuitive, or somebody that feels like they're connecting to different entities and spirits outside of the physical reality, especially if they're feeling like it's something drawn to their family. You know, the second house may have a huge presence with that. All right. The things, the cultures and the cultures and traditions that we came into that may have developed part of our value system, that may have been a strong, heavy presence from the ancestors in the first place. So assets. So like I said, everything dealing with finances, guys, not just, you know, money, earning potential, how we could go about making money, you know, but like I said, spending habits, assets versus liabilities, our values on how we look, what is an asset or a liability to us. That alone, the second house has a huge influence on. All right. Aunts and uncles from the mother side in a man's horoscope. All right. From the father side in a woman's horoscope. So aunts and uncles from the mother side in a man's horoscope and from the father side in a woman's horoscope. Uh Everything dealing with your budgeting, financial institutions, what you're exposed to around things dealing with finances. Now, remember, guys, this is spiritual. When we're looking at just the spaces itself, the solar system, the houses, it's nothing. Let me not say nothing, but it's not like the second house theme has to deal with money. Money is really a physical, man-made creation. All right. So that's why we have to it all derives from these energetic themes of things dealing with stability, security, prosperity through giving your value, right? Opportunity in life giving, manifesting through how much we can give and what we value. All of that manifests into different opportunities with actual money and finances and budgeting, and that derives from that. So is a very esoteric. Everything is about energy, family. Everything has a frequency to it. So there's a frequency to currency itself. All right. And second house derives with all of those influence, anything we could think about, the bargaining system itself. Situations around home and properties is important here too. You want to make a decision with your home. You want to buy a home at a certain time. Don't know if it's a good time to buy a home or not. You want to sell. You're getting into anything dealing with real estate. Depending on certain planets influences in this house, you'll be more aware of themes in this area, right? So you probably you're intrigued about a certain house, but it's a terrible situation to get into. But you're dealing with some type of intensity to finalize the process, and you might have, but you got Mars and Pluto in the second house. You got Scorpio, Aries in the second house. You got Aquarius in the second house. So it may be another agenda that's fulfilling to somebody else's desires to make your decisions with what you value in a home. And so it could be situations like this. But yes, just remember that family in the home area is like this with the fourth house. The fourth and the second house. All right. Inheritances, but that's back to finances once again. Material possessions. All right, now we also, when we spoke a little bit about body parts in the previous stream. So the first house is huge influence on appearance in general. All right, but more of an emphasis on the head area, everything in the head, someone's teeth, eyes, influences with their brain. All right, even with their personal psyche. But when we're looking at the second house, now we shift down to like the neck area. All right, the neck area. All right. And being around this area, obviously, we know we're dealing with, communication. Okay. So one's values can't affect how they even go about wanting to connect and relate it in general, even though there's not huge communication influences in the second house. Nonetheless, being around that area can bring influences of one communicating their value system. All right. Once again, professions, like how I themed it as this is the space dealing with the origin of our professions. All right. So let's say you have children. You're looking at their second house placement, right? Say you have children, you're looking at their second house placement. Certain themes about the planets and the houses and where the ruler is at of the second house. So you're already having certain themes in your head. And as they grow, as they mature, as they develop, and you see how they're trying to get closer to the steps of planting that seed and that career origin. Now, as a parent, as a guardian, you're more aware, like, okay, I knew there was a chance they may start valuing this. I knew there was a chance that there was going to be more center stage with their values. So now they're asking me about this talent show or this, that, and the third. Like, yes. So now you know how to feed that, encourage it, build the environment to support it, build the environment for that to blossom into whatever potential is going to deal with. So whatever, because they may have other karma dealing with that, just like we may have, right? Go check, which we're going to continue to get into, right? So now, depending on what karma they have dealing with, you know, maybe insecurity, lack of support system, whatever it is, that could play a factor as a challenge for them in the second house. They're more empowered to deal with that challenge because there's more of an experience, there's more of a support system, there's more of a reference in life to go to be like, no, I believe I'm supposed to be dealing with the second house influence with this thing I truly value. All right. So not just our children, but, you know, loved ones in general, anybody that we know we could plant seeds of, you know, support and knowledge into, and some type of spiritual insight. Influences of step brothers and step siblings and step children. Okay, but yes. Once again, the communication, vocal cords, voice in general. All right. So I said a lot in the first house about appearance and expression, and I made examples of how the rising and the sun are both going to dominate things dealing with expression. Those two placements itself are going to dominate things dealing with expression. Now, certain placements are so magnetic that they creep into expression by default, right? So somebody may have their sun and rising here, but they may have a stellium in this energy and the Scorpio stellium. So regardless of where the sun and moon was at, they have a reserved, you know, looking like they plotting on something type of demeanor, you know. But that would just once again be a combination of different energies in a chart that makes up who somebody is. But when we're looking at the that second house dealing with, you know, the vocal cord energy, communication and whatnot, not only is going to influence if somebody communicates a lot about because they value it, but it also going to influence, you know, how somebody communicates, the tone and presentation to their communication, you know, the tone and presentation to somebody's communication. So you see somebody got Mars and Pluto in the second house. All right. This is a little side gem, or like Mars and Pluto and Taurus. Now remember, Taurus, we don't really look at Taurus as a communication sign or anything. Not saying that they can't communicate or cooperate or be in relationship activity, but we look at it more as an earth sign, a builder structure, because that's what it is. But with this influence of it being birthed out of the second house, which Taurus is the sign that's birthed out of this house, because we know the houses were here first. Now with us knowing that Taurus has this influence of the vocal cord communication area, now if somebody has Mars and Pluto in the second house or something intense like that, Uranus and Mars in the second house, or Uranus in part of the Mars in Taurus, you might be looking for things dealing with communication, but you like, damn, they do got Mars and Taurus. Taurus do be up in that vocal cord energy. Now I know why they get so aggressive and passionate when it comes into communicating or relating things they really care about or they really quote unquote value. All right. So there's going to be different ways of us looking at how people push out their values depending on the alignment. So with all of that being said, yes, the second house could just have a lot of influence on how one deals with the presentation of their communication, even down to the tone and the sound of it. Rising does share some of that influence as well, though. All right. So that's what we got going on with what we just finished talking about. The traits, the themes there. Now, elements. Elements through the second house. Fire in the second house. Fire in the second house. There's going to be a sense of pride. It's going to be a sense of pride, most likely, and they're going to be very proud to be expressive or wear the expression of things dealing with their value system. Fire deals with expression. So even though we're talking about an earth house, having the influence of fire here will create more of an environment where every time this person is in their second house, aka thinking, feeling, being amongst their value system, there's going to be a vibration to express it. Depending on what fire sign here is how they may be influenced to do that, but fire alone, right? Just the element, that is going to be there. All right. There's going to be a likely influence of this person wanting to get into creative mechanisms around their value system. All right. They value the fashion and appearance and one's will and opportunity to deal with it for a personal, you know, to express their individuality through their appearance. But having fire here may result in a creative mechanism going into them learning how to make t-shirts, them going into learning how to make hats, them going into doing makeup. So fire can lead into the creative mechanism of something dealing with a value system here. Fire can be impatient here. That's something I wanted to say. I don't think I really went into it. The pace of this house, the pace family. This is the foundation origin of career and things that could blossom to social status, career branding, this, that, and the third, how we're seen in the world, right? How we enterprise, navigate career eventually. So, this is where we plant the seed. This is Taurus is slow and steady, guys, and that's because it's birthed out a house that has that pace. It's fixed earth. I always like to correlate Taurus to a tree. It's fixed. It's not moving. That tree do not move. We plant that seed got planted, or however its origin of birth was, and that's home. All right, and it's earth, so it's stable. It's planted. It's nurturing. It's resourceful. Look how much things a tree is resourceful for. How many things do we use trees for? Wood for? A tree is a home for birds. Is a home. It provides shade. It could provide fruit. So earth is dealing with fruitfulness, is dealing with nurturing, and is dealing with foundation. All right. So in all different ways. So when we're looking at Taurus, is the fixated part of it. So when we're looking at fire in the second house, fire could be ahead of itself a lot of time. Fire is very intuitive. Once again, fire rules the future. So these people here, this is where that sense of proudness and pride and expressiveness can come from. Okay, but being able to condense that influence here amongst your other alignments, being able to, reel in a sense of pace and knowing things take time and things are a process with your future, with your vision. Things are a process with your creative mechanisms. That's always going to be a major theme if you have fire here. All right. So that's pretty much like all water risings. Now, water in the second house. Water in the second house. So we know water is dealing with connection and the subconscious. So with water in the second house, there's going to be things about this person's every time they deal with their second house, whether they're thinking, feeling on it, or they're amongst it. They can jump into a sentimental bag about it because there's a more of a deep, sacred, emotional connection with things that they value. So if this person values, if part of this person's value is they was raised on farmland and that's part of the things their family was valuing being in that area, so they end up in life valuing the extinction of a certain animal or something, that developed from their farmland experiences. So with water here, Lord have mercy, when this person say their heart is in the value of extinction of cows or a certain species of an animal or something, you're gonna see their heart in it. You're gonna see how it impacts their subconscious. You're gonna see how they're trying to go about connecting it and how connected they are to it. All right. So water has a way of dealing with connection, but it also has a way of really consuming. All right. So values get consumed extremely here. All right. And when you consume so much of something, now you weigh more. So what happens here is there has to be a sense of a self-check system where this person knows that they're not drowning themselves in their own value system. You're doing enough to push it out or use it as something, because this is an earth house, using your values as something to build and structure something and not just getting drowned in the emotion of how you feel about something that you value. All right. Understand water in this house, when you're dealing with anything you value, connecting it to others, because of everything I just said with that impact that comes behind your values, that wave, that emotion, that feeling, that connection that comes behind your value system. We feel that. We feel that through your music, if that's what it is. We feel that when we read your book. We feel that when we see you express yourself about it, through your project building around that, to the things you've done in your career around that energy or whatnot. So understand is as much of an impact it has on other people when you channel and filter water in the second house. All right, so these are like your air risings. So this is why a lot of your air risings, all right, could be great speakers or come off as very impactful speakers and whatnot, air risings, because they motherfucking heart is in that thing that they value. All right. But their ability to already deal with air, communicate, relate, create a lot of interaction in their first house, then this is something that you can see next to the personality. Remember, the second house is the neighbor house. I'm trying to stay in columns here. I'm trying to stay organized. But this is the neighbor house. So this affects a lot of dealing with the personality and personal expression, guys. All right. So you got water in the second house. This is just a lot of the things that that first house personality, that relationship, communicative personality has to relate to others, because the second house deals with our values and we have water here, this person is more inclined to use the things that they value to impact the subconscious of others. So this is the person that says in their interview, yeah, I use music to help people go through things that I experience. I use this platform, this craft to help people deal with depression, help people deal with self-esteem issues, help people deal with you're going to see that sentimental value within their craft. All right. So that's water here. Now, air. So this is what your earth risings, air in the second house. So relationships, communication, logic. Okay. This person is going to place high values on things dealing with concepts, ideologies, things that influence the minds of the world itself, others. So if there's certain things they see out in the world that is influencing how the human species even thinks about things, whether it's some form of programming, environmental influence, they could have a high sense of value around that. So this is like that parent that wants to get it's too many words with C's I got in my head that I call used for the same thing, whether it's contact, connected, but it's like a parent that wants to get connected to other parents of their children's classmates or something, so they could be in communication about maybe an influence going on in the community or at the school that's going to affect the kids. So this person has a lot of value on things that could affect parties of people, could affect society, so you have a lot of charity influence here. You have a lot of, value system that's going into things outside of yourself at times. All right. This is why these people could be really, passionate or emotionally invested into their ability to connect their value to others. This person's going to value partnerships. They're going to be pushed into circumstances to understand why they have to value partnerships, and of course, God and universe is going to throw some situations of understanding. This is why you manifest certain things with stability and security in your life based on valuing negative partnerships or valuing these certain themes in your partnerships, or how life or your physical reality, your access to things dealing with materialism, stability, and security even plays out because of the traits you value in these people, these negative traits. The second house, once again, the value system. So we gonna get what we value here. We gonna get what that is, guys. Now the planets get deeper into manipulating that, but we gonna get what we value, guys. If you truly value something, you're gonna manifest increments of it. It's going to play out into your lifestyle. And the second house is the perfect example of that, because it's the combination of the value system with the actual material realm, and a huge part of our access to resources and how we go about manipulating that. All right, which we're talking about right now. So that's what we got going on with air in the second house. They're going to value intellectuals. They may have a strong value for things dealing with the opportunity to relate your concept and ideas about something. So this may be the type of person that they may step into an environment that's highly emotionally charged, okay? But they value whatever party being able to communicate their outlook or their point of things so they could see what makes sense in a logical way. So they value this. They value bringing logic to an environment, you know, in order to build properly. Okay. Now, so yeah, that's air in the second house. The air in the second house, and obviously they could be very communicative. They could jump into an environment that pushes them to be communicative. Remember, I have to use environment a lot. The traits, anything we speak about, anything I ever say about traits that are developed because of a house influence, it developed through environment. That was an environmental influence. Anything I say about a trait through a planet in the house, that is a direct trait of you. That's something you do. The environment didn't influence you to do that. You have Pluto in the 7th house. All right. So that's why you do Pluto in the 7th house like things, not because of the sign that's in the 7th house. The sign in the 7th house just creates the environment you're experiencing. Pluto's going to do 7th house things, Pluto things in that house. All right. So you got the environmental influence, then you got your own planetary, your own tool, your own kind of, we could say, conscious in a way. All right. A lot of the influence of the signs in the house could be very subconscious. We're just experiencing things we may not realize until later in life. We're a product of a certain experience or environment based off of us having this sign in the house. It takes time to develop actual characteristics and traits based off your house influence. All right. So we got that going on with air in the 3rd house, and then we have earth. Earth, is that far? Yeah, that's all that. Then we got earth in the 2nd house. And this is where Earth wants to be, in the Earth house. All right. So there's your fire risings. Now, when you got Earth in the 2nd house, this person is going to be more inclined to understand that this house needs Earth properties. So when it comes into what they value, they will be influenced to make sure they put building blocks around it, more of a sense of commitment to it. So they may tap into asking themselves before other elements, is this something I'm about to really commit time and a process to? They're more inclined to understand that, right? Okay, I value me rapping. At this point in my life, with everything I got going on, am I going to make a earthly, practical, tangible commitment to this? This is going to take time. This is going to take resources. This is going to take away from other things in my life. Am I going to stabilize myself in this? So they're going to be, that's the psyche a lot sometimes with Earth in the 2nd house, based off of how they've been probably exposed to other people building things through a sense of concentration, focus, and stability here. These people are going to understand this house has to be paced more than others by default. However, you are a fire rising. So your sense of impulse, your sense of self-excitement, never really heard somebody say that before, self-excitement, but your sense of excitement in the 1st house for personal aspirations and goals be on a hundo. So this house, you have to, make sure you tap into that shift of, okay, I know I'm excited about this, and the 3rd is you tap into the natural blend of energies, but I know this creative influence in the 1st house has to have this, is going to be a process here, and you devote yourself to it. So that's like the gift in general of being a fire rising, because you have the inclination of the elements in their houses. So because you have the influences of these houses, the house, don't know if there's going to be like a contradictive statement, but it's like the house looks out for you more. Now, all of our houses are pushing us to spiritually grow, but it's like you have Earth here. So let's say somebody has one of the detriment planets. Let's say somebody has Mars in here, right? All right. This is just an example before we get into planetary influences. Mars don't like to be here, right? Because Mars is go, 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 passionate, intense. All right. Do it today, right now. Go right through it. We already know that's not the pace of this house. But if this person already has Earth here, now when they're doing something aggressively with Mars, they may bump into something that's earthly, like in this area, that tells them, hey, young buck, I see all that passion you got to slow down. Use this platform, use this format. You already have Earth in this area. So it may be more people, places, and things that could play out as an example for you in this area that's Earth-like. So that's why it's like, I'll say having the element in that house. Now, it may be a different sign. It may not be an Aries rising, so it may not be Taurus in this house. It may be Capricorn, right? Capricorn is what? Sag rising, or you may be a Virgo in this house, that's a Leo rising, but it's still Earth. So you could connect to more or gain more access to resources or examples of that pace being exemplified, or how to use a resource the proper way. Okay. So now, once again, that's great segue. Great segue into planets. All right, great segue into planets, because when we look at the planets, now that's helping us understanding how we put that in combination with the element that's here. Okay, so once again, let's just go back to the example of having Earth here. Let's say somebody has Mercury in this house. So Mercury's dealing with his critical analysis, but now they're still accessing people, places, and things that's showing them, being an example of formatting things. So Mercury's going to be very critical of that. And then Mercury creates new ideas on how to build and structure. So now the planets just throw the icing on the cake of how certain things play out at times in the house. But we dealing with the foundational, how we even get to seeing a placement play out, because we understand the house, the element, and then the planet, the sign in the house, the three major components: houses, sign, planet. So planetary influences, guys: the sun in this house, the sun in the second house, or Leo ruling this house. If you have anyone in the placements, that means the sun is influencing this house. If you have the sun in the second house, part of your purpose. Now, one thing I didn't say in the first house video, we already understand that we talk a lot about house lords here. So in general, guys, whether we have Leo or Cancer placements at all, those are important houses to understand. Or those are important, like especially if they're empty, like you need to know those houses are connected to your sun and your moon placement. So your sun is always going to be heavily expressing things of your Leo house, and your moon finds a lot of its comfort zones in its Cancer house. All right. The ruler of I got Leo in my seventh house. So, a lot of my personality could naturally is going to cling on to things in a relationship activity, view things in my personal life from somebody else's perspective at times. It helps me understand how to have more direction with things in my personal life. I'm going to express things a lot of the times in my outlook about things, relationship activity, possibly my own personal experiences, which I do all the time, so yeah, so there's your Leo house, guys. This house, if you is heavily connected to your sun, just saying. But and that would be who? That would be a Gemini rising. That would be Gemini rising. But with all that being said, the sun, guys, now we know the sun is dealing with purpose and being seen for something, right? And how we cultivate our self-identity, okay? And it is dealing with our wants. So when you have the sun in the second house, all right, this person has more access in being seen for their value system than others. People are going to be more intrigued to want to see your value system. So you're going to have more access to center staging your values. You're going to have more access for that. This is why one of your parents probably was a gateway for you for something you was talented for, especially the father. So when y'all see them stories, of that athlete or that artist or that whoever, and in their story, their father is such an intricate part, like it's a real intricate part at times. Like they always, if you watch a documentary, they're always going back to if my father wasn't around, or it can be the mother. It can be the mother, even though this would correlate more to the moon. But don't be surprised they got sun in the second house. There was they've been centered, they manifested environments for their value to be center staged, all right, and it manifested in that way. So that talent, it was always pushed and pushed to be center stage. It was always pushed in an environment that their life was centered around having to display their values. Sometimes you could see this placement with children celebrities, because it's such a early stage of the house. And guys, we could kind of even look at the pattern of the houses through stages of life too. All right. I believe there is a format that can break down how certain well, you could say perfection years for the most part. Yeah, perfection years. But we have levels of maturity of each area, but it starts, from the first house. So once again, we just follow the themes of the I am. Then we go to the second house, the I have. So all these influences are having things to do with your I have, which in turn is going to become something you connect to others, third house, and then you get more comfortable with fourth. So everything has its, its spiritual pattern. But when we're looking at that sun in the second house, that's what's going to be here. Sometimes there's going to be a proud ass influence of their values here. This person can jump into an ego with their values at some point. So this can be your very charismatic Muhammad Ali's. I look better than you. I'm gonna beat you up in the ring. You can't do nothing with me. I'm the best boxer of all time. You may get that sense of charisma and expression, especially if the sun ain't got no like squares oppositions here. And it got like like this person is here to fully embrace just being seen for their second house, and it isn't a charismatic sign on top of that. You're gonna see this. You're gonna see like, all right, they're this far away from just jumping into ego here, but yes, they are the thing that they value. They are good with it. They are talented with it. So you're gonna see that there with the sun here. It's just that you are going to have to deal with an environment in this lifetime that deals with being center stage for your values. Now whatever you value, positive, negative values, that's always under the light here. So you valuing negative shit in your life, you have an unstable ass value system. Everybody in your family know you don't know how to pick partners. You have you don't know how to see value in your relationships. You may get talked about a lot at Christmas, but like, this is the sun, guys. This ain't no behind your back. At the Christmas dinner, at Thanksgiving dinner, like, oh no, I ain't bringing no boyfriend from jail this year. What happened? What's wrong? It ain't clicking there no more. Like, so you may get everything dealing with what you truly value center staged here. Every house that we have the sun influencing, people can see this house from the outside looking in. Is a bright light here. So yes, your value system is always under the scope, guys. All right. But boy, oh boy, you manifest. Remember, the sun brings light to things. The sun brings light to things. So when you have the sun influencing that second house, when it comes into the things you do value, whether it's whatever creative attribute, things that you feel like you have within yourself, it's just your access to be able to display these things. And people may look at your process and be like, yo, how the fuck they get all those views on the first 2 songs they ever dropped? This is how another artist is looking at your process or something. They got sun in the second house when they're really in tune and passionate and invested in their placing a light in their value. Because remember, we know it's part of your purpose. It's part of your purpose. All right. So part of your purpose is here to be seen for your value system. You may have a lot of experiences that you've been lackadaisical with that. All right. You have certain talents and creative attributes, and you're not going about displaying them in a way. So yeah, throw that sun in there. So your whole life, different parts of your life are trying to get you to see that, with the sun dealing with attention. It's not just about the attention of you being seen for your values. It's about you gaining awareness and attention of what your value is. All right, what your value even is. All right, I know Michael Jackson don't got the sun in the second house, but I tell you this, Joe, what's his name? Joseph? Joe ass, that's a second in the house, second son in the second house father right there. I seen the talent since day one, and I whooped it out of him. Yep, I whooped that potential up out of him. Since day one he came in this realm, and he had no excuse. He couldn't look at God and universe and be like, I don't know what my value is. No, you got the sun in the second house. Every day is something going on to get your attention, for you to see what it is. So that's why suppression of it here can become chaotic, a chaotic, unstable life at times. That should start fucking with your finances. The sun is here. How are you neglecting this? How are you not seeing this? All right. So that's that. The moon in the second house. The moon in the second house, or Cancer in this house. Now, this is an exaltation, family. This is an exaltation placement here. This is an exaltation placement. And remember, guys, the sun is the neighbor. So we can even look at, oh, this is a good concept to add after I finish the planets, looking at the relationship it's even in from the previous house. So the sun just got out the first house. The sun is exalted in the first house. So in that house is mad confident when it comes into giving life or birthing things, dealing with personal aspirations. So that's another sense of the sun too. This is an area to give life and birth things. So it just came out of a very excited place. It's very excited. It's charged up. It's so motivated. So when it gets into the second house, all right, which is more of a neutral space, all right, you have that sense of now this is from a, we're speaking from like a metaphysical point of view, but like the sun being in that second house, it's almost a carryover of your excitement to give birth to your values in a way. All right. So sun in second house people, I know there's gonna be some squares oppositions if I look at that chart and I see that they're not really proud or really not super active trying to get it seen or expressive about it. I know there's something going on there. All right. Because it's eager to give birth and give life to the thing. Once it realizes it has value about something, once it realizes it is one thing, the process towards seeing its value, but once it confirms to itself, oh, it's invested and it's fixed earth, the sun can stay concentrated here. Now the moon is exalted here, guys. Very powerful placement, one of my favorite placements. All right. And when you have the moon is a big spiritual magnet, it attracts, is dealing with how our emotional mental processor, and whatever house the moon is in is going to be our comfort zone. Whatever house the moon is in is already going to be our we take far measures to respond to this house. When people try to take us out this house, which is our spiritual comfort zone, we'll go crazy. We do extreme things, all right, with the house that our moon is in. And you could bring and you develop. I know we joke on certain signs. See, okay, this is a little relationship hack right here, guys. I know we talk about certain signs that could deal with being really open because of their archetype, Virgo, Pisces, or whatnot. But the house that your moon is in, catering to somebody's moon, it forces them to. That's how you open them up. We all get open over somebody just aligning with the comfort zone of our moon house. So that means when you came to you got to think about it, guys. Look at the relationship of the people. Really think about this. Look at the relationship that you have with people. Let's say you got guests, somebody coming over, two people coming over. It might be one person that you'll drive yourself upside down cleaning the house before they come, and it might be another person that when you don't give a damn if your house look like World War III, is that person. That shows your comfort zone. That shows your comfort zone to a degree. All right, we could kind of say that shows your lack of respect and your respect at the same time. Like, so if it's somebody new you're dating, of course, and you're not doing things to come off presentable in the home, that's obviously, we don't want to go to the extreme, but that shows you the comfort zone with dealing with what you feel me, what's already established here. So if somebody comes into your life and the house you have your moon in, which is our home, right? That's our fourth house. You could say that's another form of our fourth house in a way. And they're just pouring into it, adding into it. We don't feel like we got to move things around for them. That's how we become mad open. That's how we become mad open. So somebody got their moon in the firehouse. You know, if you give off a lot of expression energies, a lot of uplifting, encouraging, yeah, you could do it. Inspiration energy. Whenever they talk about their inspirations and things they want to create, that it ain't here yet. That's your futuristic like a mug. It's all potential. All right. You getting right in alignment with that, they'll get open. Moon in the earth house, when it comes into anything supporting how the things that they're trying to build and structure and the things their time is invested into, it could be the slightest, most generous gestures, guys. That'll make the moon in the earth house open. That'll make the moon in that house open. Moon in the air houses. When it comes to anything dealing with communication, relatability of concepts, right? Not saying you agree with everything they say, but you're an environment where they could feel free to exchange things, dealing with thought forms. There's a lot of companion energy they pick up with you, so you're open to relate and do certain things together, experience certain things. You give an explorational influence. Oh, the moon and earth air house person opens up, and then moon in the water house. When you're very understanding of what mood this person is in, what different things affects their moods, respecting their private space, having a sense of care for the things you realize they really care about or emotionally invested into, okay? Have a respect for their surroundings and their well-being, show that you are considering their well-being. That moon in the water house person open up so crazy because they're dealing with processing the subconscious. They're always internalizing things. They're more inclined to internalize things more than others, quickly, more quicker, I would say. So shit, moon in the fourth house, dealing with somebody, relating to somebody, dating somebody, and they don't feel no pressure to build the connection. They feel like it's just a gradual development of a connection. the ingredients of the connection are just harmoniously, brushing up against each other, and there's no force, and they don't feel like they gotta be another person, and the person so understand, like, oh man. So that's a little hack right there. I should have put that in the relationship masterclass, but hey, everybody here is just the anointed ones to get that one right there. All right, so that's that one. But yeah, moon in the second house person is an exaltation. So not only they're very, they look at their values as a priority and responsibility. That's their comfort zone. If I'm not pouring into my value, if not investing into my value, I'm OD unfulfilled. That is my comfort zone. All right. Now, the awareness of what they value is more critical than any other moon placement at times from a house perspective, because it's exalted here. So you can be impulsive jumping into a negative value. So the moon here just has a very rapid pace on how it could attract support. It could attract opportunities to experience and immerse yourself amongst environments with your value system, right? You value music, you're creative, you create so much waves and opportunities for you to explore that, because you're going to attract a lot of opportunities very quick. You're going to attract resources here very quick, in the physical realm, physical resources, environments that support your value system here. Okay, that's your comfort zone here. So it's a very strong manifesting placement, but it's the awareness of what this person is valued. That's depending on what the sun got going on at times. Because the sun don't think that the sun and moon got a unique relationship. So don't think your sun don't know that it could use the moon's access here, the moon's power to access support in the physical realm through resources and whatnot to support what the sun want to do. All right. So the awareness of the value system is important here. So if you got like the moon in this house and it's like trining something in the 10th house or the 6th house or something, like, or it's sextiling with something in another house, and what's the sextile house is the 4th or the 12th house. These are things the moon has direct access to pulling resources from these areas, so these people heart are in their value system. These people have a huge influence to uplift and stabilize, regulate, the subconscious of others through their values. All right. These people can build massive connections in life because of their values. So as far as this place being damn near your home, another home for us with the moon in here, when it comes into what this person really care about over time, their environment, their craft, there's a home aspect to it. So let's say there's a business, this person was really, their heart was in value in creating and building out of the second house, something they feel like they could service and help others. They may treat it very family like. This may be the CEO of the business that says, hey guys, here at Amazon, it's really family. Like we want to really establish a family concept here. All right. When I first started this business, it was only people close to home, people I could trust, care about, depend on, be there for to start this business. So you're going to feel that they're going to bring that 4th house, that caring, nurturing, bonding like energy with their values, whether it's through their music, whether it's through their teachings that they feel like they value, whatever that value trait is or theme is, it's gonna have that in there. This is an artist. They're gonna say things like, their fans are their whatever, their brothers and sisters. Like, no, we are family. Like, you're gonna see this family oriented concept around things that they really value and how they push it out. All right. But it's just that, once again, if it's a negative value, the self-awareness has to be here. It has to be a self-check system, because you could immerse yourself in it. You could really be the representative of somebody that really motherfucking value alcohol, and how that thing just disrupted their form of stability and security. So when you have these astrologers talk about these home placements or exaltation placements that are powerful or have these gift-like influence, yeah, the crash or the dark side is as intense. It's not like the pros to it is so good, but the downside to it is not that bad. No, the crash could be hard. The dark side, the shadow side of the placement could be extreme. So the moon having so much goddamn access to the things that it values and being able to get support from it in the second house, being able to influence connection with so much other people. If it's a negative thing, then they could lose themselves in it, and it could play a factor in how they deal with stability and security. All right. Um. Yeah, and that's the moon here. That's the moon. All right, Mercury in the second house. All right, this is a a neutral like position for it. All right, it's a little excited in this house because it is about to go home. It is about to go home. So in the third house, but Mercury in the second house, this person is very analytical about. Is gonna obviously a huge influence of being analytical, detail oriented, and communicative wherever Mercury's at. So when it comes into their value system, most likely this person communicates it. It relates it a lot. Now, this person will at times will debate you amongst things dealing with their value system. They will debate you. They will get into that verbal that verbal spar with you. But this is like within what they do though. So this is like, I don't know. This is like two people that value politics. And then one of them got Mercury in the second. Yeah, the Mercury in the second person is really gonna communicate, debate it down to see how much you really value, or probably communicate how much they value something more, how see the flaw. Because remember, Mercury, we got a little mini spiritual computer in that area that we have Mercury in your chart. So if it's in the second house, then when it comes into what other people say they value, they can see the flaws in it. They'll read between the lines and other people values. Like, they don't really value that shit. They just doing that to make money. They don't really value that shit. They just doing that shit for this. So this is Mercury in the second house could read through the lines with shit dealing with people value system. And Mercury in the second house is gonna get critiqued like a mug when it comes into their value system. This could be one of the most, I mean, this is that star, this is that person that, it don't matter what type of how good something is that they do, that should come with a lot of critique. I'm trying to think of like an artist that has that kind of influence. I bet you right now, guys, Mercury, I bet you will see people that is like, damn, that was a good album. But I remember when it came out, everybody had something to say about it. Like Mercury in third house, celebrities. Yeah, Astro. I bet you we're gonna see some artists that's like, damn, you know, or what they value or what the subject matter of the music or something is like, that gets critiqued a lot. Almost like Eminem. I don't know how many of y'all remember when like Eminem came in the game and they were like, yo, he talks about mistreating women and he's talking about taking drugs, and this is when advisory the parental advisory was very enforced, is getting enforced around this time in hip hop. And it's like, yo, this nigga just coming out mad belligerent talking about mistreating women, overindulging in drugs. Children are listening to him. Like, so it's like his value system is heavily critiqued. Okay, we got Justin Bieber. Okay, I don't know much about Justin Bieber's real Brit heavy critique. Somebody got something to say about everything Britney does, like what, like, and it comes down to her value system. Like, what is Britney valuing at this point in her life? Got her in this type of state, looking unstable, this, that, and the third. Wait, did I say Mercury in the third? Oh, excuse me, I said Mercury in the third house. Mercury in the third. Taylor Swift. I remember Leonardo DiCaprio sometime last year came out saying that he only dates women. This shit is crazy. The nigga said he only date women. I think he says once they turn 25, that's when he cuts them off. Like, he doesn't deal with no woman. If he starts dating a woman that's, I forgot what the number is. Don't know if it's 25. It might be 26, 27. It's somewhere in the 20s though. Man, he said once women hit that age, he not dealing with them no more. The amount of critique that type of value obviously receives. So these people value system is just heavily critiqued. And because they got Mercury in there, let's say they got something going on that's upside down with their value system that's negative. You got Mercury in the second house. This is the person that hope to God they're not a celebrity, don't have a lot of influence, but they go get on the camera and be very open talking about it. Like, yeah, sometimes when I'm in the studio, I do a little bit of coke but listen, I'm not really hooked on it. So this person can have no filter dealing with their value. You have Mercury here. Look at the house you have Mercury in, guys. Look at the house you have Mercury in here, guys. You communicate about these things. You can talk all day about these things. You could be as introverted as hell. You got Mercury in the house, you can communicate about that. All right. You got a lot of actors up here. Got a lot of actors up here. Okay. Oprah. You know why this one is a significant example, Mercury in the second house, as far as from what we're looking at from their values being critiqued? What the second house did with finances, money. How much people act like they Oprah's financial manager? Like, no, she should be giving that money away. She should be doing this with her money. That's why the black community the way it is. They be everybody they mother swear they Oprah's financial manager, trying to figure out how much she really worth, where her money going at times. Like so when the bigger the light, the bigger of a scale you're under with Mercury in the second house, like you're going to experience this in your personal life, but it's just going to be heavy here. Like you're going to experience that with your value systems always being critiqued in some type of shape or form. All right. So we got that going on. All right, guys. So yeah, that's Mercury in the Mercury in the second house, man. Very communicative, open, relatable about their value system, and very they will analyze other people's value systems, and they will talk about it. They will critique it. They will go on their YouTube and make a video out of nowhere critiquing another content creator. And other content creators like, what the fuck they want to do with me? Why they trying to start a beef with me? No, it ain't starting a beef with you. Trust me, that's really not the intent. They got Mercury in the second house. To them, that was some shit they was really thinking about, saw a flaw in your values and use you as an example. All right. Now, Venus in the second house. This is another very strong placement, obviously, because it's a home placement. But when we talk about for some reason,